Rummynose Tetras are everywhere, and for good reason. They're amazing. They're one of the best schooling fish ever. I actually really like them as a beginner fish too, which a lot of people would say don't do that. I'm going to explain why. We're going to unpack the Rummynose Tetra. They're relatively easy to care for. A pH between like 6.8 and 7.8, maybe even 8. They do okay. They need to have some buffer in the water. They like to be roughly at 78 degrees. All of those things are kind of normal. Calcium levels or hardness levels, a wide range, anywhere from like none to like 300 or 400 parts per million. Yes, they could be wild caught. Yes, they could be captive bred. But a lot of times when they're going to wholesalers and pet stores, they're hitting all these water parameters anyway. I think we run into problems is there's so many of them. And what I mean by that is when you go to a wholesale facility, you'll see 10,000 of them in a tank. These large tanks with many of them. And when you have big populations of anything, disease can run rampant. And so it's very important for a fish store to quarantine them and get them healthy. And they kind of come in sick all the time. The two main illnesses are bacterial infection and ick. And so like in our store, we buy hundreds and hundreds and hundreds at a time. We split them up. We're quarantining them. We're treating them prophylactically straight from the get-go for bacterial infections and ick before they ever go out on the sales floor. That's so that we can eliminate 99% of those problems for people. Now, there's still other diseases and other things you need to take care of, and that's different videos. What I like about this fish is the red nose and the striped tail. Personally, one of the signs that I would say you should look for is that red nose, whether it's in your aquarium, whether it's at the pet store, either of those, you want to see red noses. Why? When they have a red nose, they're not stressed out. So this is really useful in your aquarium. If you look in one day and you go, oof, all the red noses are gone, that's a sign that maybe your water parameters are off, or maybe one of the fish is beating stuff up, or maybe the water's not warm enough because the heater's going bad, or it's too warm, right? So I love that for a beginner and just even an advanced person, because you can walk by and go, wait a second, that's not right. It's your own little like gauge or happiness gauge in that aquarium with those Rummynose. Now, they're a great schooling fish, so you can see them schooling back and forth, and I've had tanks with like 1,200 of them in there. We have a giant puffer fish that lives with a bunch of them. They're honestly just a great fish, but the canary and the mine shaft is what I really like about them, that red nose. Now, when you're at a store and they don't have that red nose, a couple of things are going on. Either A, they're incredibly stressed out and they're sick and things like that, and that's where I'd be like, maybe you don't buy those. Maybe you just watch the employee catch them for someone else, and they were in there and doing that, and they're like, okay, well, they were happy and healthy until they got chased by the net monster, right? In that case, I would say, yes, you could still buy them, but if you kind of been walking around for a while and you're like, no one's really buying out of that tank, and they're not very red either. They're either A, too young, B, not happy, C, underfed, or they really got chased really hard before you walked in the door, but usually they recover while you're walking around. So if you're walking around 10, 20, 30 minutes and they're not recovering, I'd be a little leery. Now, when you do buy them, take a good look. Really look over them, look for any spots of ick, look for any kind of tail damage. Is their belly sunken in, or is it nice and full? Not too full though, you don't want it to look pregnant. You just want to be like, it doesn't look too skinny, and it doesn't look pregnant, so it's probably healthy at that point. You can ask them to see them eat. Some people are like, oh, won't they go to the bathroom in the bag on the way home? Like, yeah, you probably live within an hour of home anyway. Won't matter at all. And the fact that you saw them eat, you'll know, A, what was the store feeding them, what are they already used to, and B, that they are actually happy enough to eat. I would highly recommend, almost no matter what fish you're buying, ask to see it eat. Unless you've got a 2-day drive home, in which case find yourself some Rummynose Tetras closer to home. But any normal drive, yep, let's see them eat. Great, just wanted to see that. Buy them in a big school. Get them in, 10 plus if you can, 20 plus if you can, 30 plus if you can, 1,200 if you can. The more you buy, typically, the cheaper they get. Now, there's obviously a floor there. You're buying thousands at a time. They only get so cheap. The fewer you buy, though, they might be $6 a piece or $5 a piece. Any of those numbers are acceptable, but usually you can strike a deal and go, hey, If I buy 20 of these, are they $5 each? If I buy 100 of them, are they $4 each? Now that's $400, and not everybody's going to do that, but Once you fall in love with these Rummynose Tetras, you might. I like to buy the group I want and quarantine it all at once instead of going, well, I'll buy 6 today, I'll buy 6 a month from now, I'll buy 6 more in 2 months. Each time you're bringing that group of 6 fish in, you've got another chance to bring in ick and bacterial infections. And so with all of that, you're increasing your risk. And I don't like doing that. So if you know you want 18, save up your money, buy the 18. Also, you don't want to have to spend 30 minutes in a store watching them and doing all that multiple times. You kind of want to camp these things out. It's not unheard of for me to stop by a store 2 days in a row. Stop in, are they looking good? Yeah, those are good. They got a ton of them though, great. I'll see if they're still doing great tomorrow. You know, ask questions, learn about how they're taking care of them. All of these things will set you up for success, especially if you're new. A lot of times you can just follow, this guide and just go, yeah, okay, they're doing pretty good. Now, when it comes to feeding them, live baby brine shrimp, nothing's going to beat that. But second to that, you've got frozen baby brine, you've got cyclops, you've got good quality flakes, you've got good quality nano pellets. The key thing here is buy something quality, whether it's Extreme Krill Flakes, whether it's the nanobites from Extreme, or maybe it's a Cory, any of that kind of stuff. Get something fairly good quality, but you also can just feed what the store is feeding. Sometimes easing it into your tank is actually better, and then you can switch to a higher quality food, because every time you move them, there's stress. That reminds me, being that I own a store, I know this and I see it all the time, we have to say it all the time. A lot of times when you catch these Rummynose Tetras and you put them into a bag, they'll play dead. They can't really fight back, so they'll be upside down and floating. Don't freak out about that. That's their defense mechanism, and when they get home and in a tank, they'll be fine. What I do like to do is always keep a bottom though, so like set them on a counter, that kind of stuff, because they just kind of start doing this, and if they don't know where the bottom is, it's hard for them to orient themselves. So just know that that's a normal thing. That's not like the number one sign they're sick. Whether they're healthy or sick, they do that. So that's not a sign of one way or the other, so don't worry. But get yourself a big group. Enjoy the heck out of these things. Grow them up big, because once they're big, that red gets even better, the tail looks even better. Everything's better. They come in albino forms. There's a few little variations on Rummynose as well, but another reason just to buy one group at a time. Really enjoy them. I love this fish. I can't stress it enough. I pretty much always have a tank around in my possession somewhere that has a school of these fish going, and it's for good reason. Make sure you check out this video. I had 1,200 Rummynose Tetras, and we lost some of them because of what I've taught you in this video. See the extended version so that when you go and buy them, you don't run into the same exact problem. We had one tank do really well and one crash even though they were bought at the same time, right? Check that out.